The slope of a vertical line is undefined. So let's find the slope of a line given the 2 points, -4, 8, and 2, -3. So we're going to label x1 as -4, y1 as 8, x2 as 2, and y2 as -3. Then the slope is given by the formula rise over run. So we're going to take -3 minus 8 divided by 2 minus x1 was -4, so make sure you plug in a -4 inside parentheses. The numerator simplifies to -11, and this double negative here becomes a plus, so that's why we have 6 in the denominator. So the slope is -11 over 6. Let's find the slope between the 2 points, 2, 7, and 2, -4. Again, we're going to find the differences of the y's and divided by the differences of the x. So in this case, we have this is going to be y2, this is x2, this is my x1, and this is my y2. Plugging these values into the formula, we have the numerator is -11 divided by 0. Remember, we cannot divide by 0. It is undefined because the 0 is underneath the denominator. So the slope is undefined. This tells me that these 2 points are points that would form a vertical line. To find the slope between the points 5, -3 and -2, -3, we use the same formula again. Make sure you label the correct values, x1, y1, x2, y2, and then plug in the values into the formula. So here we have -3 minus a -3, so this becomes a plus, and that's why the numerator is 0. -2 minus 5 gives us a denominator of -7. So 7 divided by -7 is just 0. It is not undefined because the 0 is on top of the fraction. If you were to sketch these points, you would realize that these 2 points are essentially on a horizontal line. The slope of a horizontal line is equal to 0, just like in the previous example. Let's find the slope of the line 4x plus 3y equals 12. We're going to start by solving the equation for y. So let's subtract 4x to both sides. And now let's divide both sides by 3. This gives us y equals -4/3 x plus 4. And the slope is going to be the number in front of the x. So the slope is -4/3. You can only read off the slope after you solve for y. So make sure you solve for y first, then you may read the slope. Graph the line passing through the point -1, 5 and having slope -5, 3. I always start by plotting the point first, and then we have to determine what the rise and what the run is. The rise is going to be the number on the top of our slope, and the run is going to be the denominator. Now for the rise, that's the only one that can take that negative sign. So if it is negative, I always include it to the rise. The run is always going to be positive. So we're going to locate -1, 5. The slope is -5/3. and I'm going to start from -1.5 and shift down 5 units and go horizontally 3 units. This gives us a second point, 2, 0. We start at -1.5, go down 5 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right 3, and we end up at 2, 0. A line with positive slope rises as we go from left to right. A line with negative slope falls as we go from left to right. A line with slope 0 is basically a constant function. It does not rise or fall. A vertical line has a slope that is undefined. We know that the slope of a line is the ratio of the vertical change in y to the horizontal change in x. Thus, slope gives us the average rate of change in y per unit of change in x, where the value of y depends on the value of x. If f is a linear function defined on a closed interval from a to b, then we know that the average rate of change is going to be given by f of b minus f of a divided by b minus a. In 2009, Google spent $2,800 million on research and development. In 2013, Google spent $8,000 million on research and development. Assume a linear relationship and find the average rate of change in the amount of money spent on research and development per year. Graph as a line segment and interpret the results. In this problem, we know that the X represents the year. So in 2009, we spent $2,800 million. So here, this corresponds to the X, and the Y is the 2,800. Similarly, in 2013, which corresponds to X, we have the output is 8,000, so this corresponds to Y. This yields 2 points, 2,000, 2,800, and 2013, 8,000. We can calculate the average rate of change by finding the slope. So y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And the slope is approximately 1,300. The line through the ordered pair rises from left to right and therefore has a positive slope. Thus, the annual amount of money spent by Google on research and development increased by an average of about $1,300 million each year from 2009 to 2013. A linear cost function has the form c of x equal to mx plus b, where x represents the number of items produced, m represents the variable cost per item, and b represents the fixed cost. The fixed cost is a constant for a particular product and does not change as more items are made. The value of mx, which increases as more items are produced, covers labors, materials, packaging, shipping, and so on. The revenue function for selling a product depends on the price per item, P, and the number of items sold, X. It is given by the following function: R of X equals P times X. So the P is the price that we're bringing in per item, and X is how much we're actually selling. Profit is found by subtracting the cost function from the revenue function and is described by the profit function. P of X equals the revenue function R of x minus the cost function C of x. Assume that the cost to produce an item is a linear function and all items produced are sold. The fixed cost is $1,500 and the variable cost per item is $100 and the item sells for $125. Write linear functions to model the cost. So we know that C of x is equal to mx plus b, where b is the fixed cost. So in this case, we have b must be $1,500, and the cost per item is m, and that was 100. The revenue function is defined as the price that we're going to sell the item for, and we're going to multiply that by x, which is the amount of items we sell. So we'll plug in P for 125, and the revenue function is R of x equals 125x. The profit function is defined as R of x minus C of x, so we'll substitute the equation 125x, which is the revenue function, minus the cost function, and I want to be extra careful, make sure to put the cost function in parentheses because we have to distribute the negative through the two terms on the right. Collect like terms, and we have that P of x is equal to 25x minus 1,500. That is our profit function. D. How many items must be sold for the company to make a profit? To make a profit, P of x must be positive. So we have P of x equals 25x minus 1,500. And we're restricting the values to be greater than 0 because we want it to be positive. Add 1,500 to both sides. We have 25x is greater than 1,500. Divide both sides by 25. X is greater than 60. Since the number of items must be a whole number, at least 61 items must be sold for the company to make a profit.